Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
First today.
How's it going?
Good.
Good.
And you?
Oh, usual roller coaster on a shitstorm in a tempest. Just living the full life of a 4.
Wait, what was the 4 again?
Living the full life of a 4.
I know, but what was the 4?
Oh, the 4. Well, the 4 is comfortable in darker places and almost thrives on it.
So what was the name of it, though?
The 4 has a couple of different names. The Individualist.
Okay, that's what I read.
Usually self-absorbed.
Well, but there's pros and there's good and bad with all of them, right?
Sure, exactly. The sensitive, introspective type, expressive, dramatic, self-absorbed, and temperamental.
Wow. Chris didn't actually take the test. I should make him take it.
And then Dana is the easygoing, self-effacing type, receptive, reassuring, agreeable, and complacent.
Is that the helper?
That's the peacemaker.
Oh, the peacemaker.
Yeah. So we are just at opposite. When I told the guy that I know who's one of the experts in the Enneagram nationally, that I was marrying a 9, he's like, how?
Well,
it's going to be interesting.
As there are teachers, right?
Yes, exactly.
That's what someone said to me yesterday. Chris is my perfect teacher.
Yeah. Yeah, nobody told me this would be the hardest work I ever did. I thought it would be not easier, but a different kind of hard.
Being married?
Yeah.
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 I know. It's interesting, isn't it?
That's work. Yeah, for sure.
Is this your first marriage? I can't remember.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Jenny.
Sorry.
No, you're good. This week is just like, I woke up this morning, I felt like it took me 15 minutes to realize what day it was. It's just.
It's been a hell of a week.
Are you going to get out of Squim before tomorrow's snow?
It's so funny. Everyone's like, you're going to leave? You're going to leave? And yeah, I think I'll leave probably like midday or something. I can leave whenever I want, but I'm not.
Tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'll leave tomorrow sometime. Everyone's like, you've got to leave early and go home. And I'm like, I don't know. Everyone's all panicked. I'm like, whatever.
I know. I saw people saying, should we be stocking up on groceries? And I'm just like, is it supposed to be that bad?
I mean, we had a snow day, Monday? We had a snow day Monday and a 2-hour late start on Tuesday. So this week has been weird. But I was in Seattle, so I got to stay home. So I was excited by that.
I know, but we had 2 snow days here.
Yeah, I drove back on Tuesday morning, and I didn't think it was that bad. But we're just not equipped in Seattle to deal with it, and we do have a lot of hills. It's all about safety. One kid gets hurt or injured, and then we're mud for life, with the schools. So that's why they close them.
I do have a friend that broke her arm yesterday slipping on ice, so it's definitely easy to do.
Not
Yeah.
to not to bring too much negative energy, but there was a sophomore at UW that actually died slipping on ice just last week.
What?
A young woman. Yeah.
Was it, Professor?
She slipped, hit her head, didn't make it.
Holy guacamole.
Yeah.
A professor or a kid? Who was it?
Sophomore
Sophomore.
at UW.
Oh God, that's the wrong.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where are you, Denise?
I'm outside watching Russell get back.
Oh.
Jeez.
Watching
All
what?
right.
Russell, our dog, is outside,
Oh.
and we don't let him out by himself.
And he won't come in?
We're just on a different schedule because of him being on the meds and stuff.
Yeah.
So he has to eat before, so I had to get him up earlier. He's a teenager. He usually sleeps in. I had to get him up to get his eat. And get
I'll
his
be back.
meds.
You guys start.
What?
Jenny said she'll be right back. I know Chris is on his way, but anyway.
Now he's coming back.
Aw. Hey, Russell.
Is he a Chessie?
Pardon me?
Is he a Chessie?
He looks all chocolate lab, but he's half chocolate lab, quarter golden retriever, and quarter poodle.
No.
Come here, bud.
Aw. Animals are so awesome.
They really are.
Denise, are you on Finney Ridge? No. Where are
No,
you?
I'm out in Lake Forest Park.
Oh, Lake Forest Park. Okay.
And yeah, she lives in the trees.
Nice.
It is a nice little area where she's at. So, okay, this is disjointed. So, okay, I won't do the meditation yet. Let's see, how am I going to start this? Well, I was going to compliment everybody, but not everybody's here. So, I was thinking about this whole process and how simple it seems and how absolutely challenging it is to do this kind of work. So just to kind of, okay, Dave, you're the only one here, so pat yourself. So good job, Dave.
I'm listening.
Good job, Denise.
The next best thing to being there.
Yeah, no, seriously, it's like I was thinking, because I talked to Denise and Chris was talking to me about some of his process yesterday and how kind of on some level frustrating it is to when you don't feel like you're getting it, like when you don't feel like it's like you're feeling anything, you're noticing anything, like you're just doing the same patterns over and over again. So but I promise if you like stick with this, you'll start to notice differences. Everybody come back. I don't like repeating everything I have to say. So I always like starting with the meditation and I sometimes forget. So if we start getting into, okay, well, first of all, I want, since for you two, the thing that I want you to at least start off with, like, what is tell me where your energy is. What are you noticing in your body right now? Like, what is, like, do like kind of like an internal check-in. Like, is there a feeling? Is there like where are you at right at this moment? Denise. Is this your challenge, Denise?
No, but it's exactly what you just said of it's so simple, but it's so complicated to.
Yeah, it is. And I still work on this all the time, right? So it's not a, but what, so Denise, right now, if you had to sort of say, like, where's your energy right now? I realize you just came inside, right? And that's part of it. Like, so are you feeling, what are you noticing?
It's not low, but well, I wouldn't say that it's low, but I can't even remember what the thought I was having 10 minutes ago. And it wasn't like a negative thought, but being critical of myself. I can't remember what it was.
Okay. So right at this moment, what are you noticing? Like sit here, like just kind of feel your sit bones on the seat. Take a breath. And then what are you feeling?
Jenny's expression kind of summed it up.
What did she do?
I went. I was listening to you and going through my notes, and then just went.
Is that what you're feeling then, Denise? Is it frustration? Is it?
No, not frustration at all. Just I'm feeling like I'm going two different directions at the moment. My mind's on what to do today and trying to regroup to come into the class.
Okay, fair enough. Dave, how are you feeling?
It looks like it looked like Chris had a surgical mask on.
That's what I thought too.
Do you have a bad cold? Are you Chinese now?
Sorry, I'm late, guys.
That's okay. So,
I have that same shirt. It's very soft.
I like it.
Not the same shirt. I mean,
that's similar.
my own.
You sneak
version.
in and take it out of my closet. I was wondering where it was going.
Yeah. I'm as I've mentioned, I've been meditating twice a day out of necessity, and what that often brings is a wonderful sense of presence and buoyancy. But adjacent to that has been a week of deflation and sadness.
So right at this moment, what are you feeling?
Buoyant and sad.
Okay. So you have that right now. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Chris, I'm just asking, I want everybody right now to just sort of check in with how what's happening right at this moment in their body. So Jenny, do you have what's going on with you?
My heart chakra is always, trying to grieve and mourn and fix everything. I'm pretty, work's been really crazy. So I'm just a little, not anxious, but just, there's a lot to do.
Okay.
And I cannot for the life of me remember what the homework was on Monday. I have no idea.
It was to check in with your body and do the figure out what yes and no is. And
I left my notebook at home and I was just like, I can't for the life. I was telling girls that I work with about this class, and I was like, I cannot for the life of me remember what it was.
Well, I put it on Facebook too, so you can always check.
That's Facebook and my homework are in the same realm right now. But I'm good. I'm good. Just noticing a lot, as the vibrations change, things are separating even more, which is just interesting. So.
Okay, I'm going to come back to that. So Chris, how about you? What are you noticing?
Right now,
yeah,
I am still flustered being late to this class.
Okay.
But very lately, I've been feeling a little bit more grounded, a little bit more in touch. I'm feeling the earth a little bit more under my feet, and so that's usually a good sign for me.
Awesome.
I'm also really sore from a calisthenics thing that we did. So sometimes I'm listening to my body going, ooh, what's that telling me? And I realized, oh, that's telling me less tricep work because that hurts.
Awesome. Okay, but so you guys, just to notice, like did you all do this? Anyway, all of those comments all led to a story. And really all we want to know is what's happening right now. What's happening right now. So when you're, so it's like what we all do is we all go into this like, okay, let's check in, what's going with the body, and then we create some sort of story with it, right? That's good, that's bad. We start to put some sort of judgment on it, but all we're trying to do is focus on like what is the present moment feeling, and that's it, right? Like it's not like so Chris is flustered because is flustered. Jenny has the anxiety. Dave's got the buoyancy and grief. Is that what you said?
That's
Denise, you've got the what was yours?
I was just having trouble focusing is what I was.
Okay, perfect. Right. So it's like, so as best as we can, just sort of like name what's happening without it being this whole story, right? Like as part of the practice of this, it's just like so I was listening to something last night and I love this explanation of it. And then we'll get into the meditation. I'm not asking you to change. It's impossible to change your personality. I'm not changing your personality, right? We're just bringing awareness to the different pieces of your personality. That's going to be kind of who you are. And then we're bringing in the observer or the awareness that will always kind of be like, okay, so here I go again. I'm doing this pattern of, like I gave my example of whenever I think about taking a class, I always have some sort of immediate, like, this is what I want to do. And then I have like 6 months of worrying about it, right? So this is a pattern of mine. And so I sit there and go, oh, look at me. I'm doing that thing where I'm overanalyzing. And that's it, right? Like, so I have my awareness, and so what choices am I going to, how am I going to proceed from this point forward, right? So this work being in high vibration isn't like, it's impossible to be, is it impossible? I guess I've seen some people that resonate at a really high frequency where, like they're always in this like appearance of this high or this like joy, like extreme joy, right? And so like you can kind of get to that point, but you're still a human. You still have your patterns. Dave's still the individualist on the Enneagram. I'm still the achiever on the Enneagram, right? Like we're still our basic personality, but we frequently don't even pay attention to what our basic personality is. So this is just like, pay attention, notice what we're doing. And if it serves you, great. If it doesn't serve you, then move on, right? So like Denise is always just like, I've always got my list, right? Like, so what do I do? How do I balance out, Denise, and I hope this is okay to bring this to, because we talked about this on the phone. If I have so much to do, how do I know what is the best thing to do, right? Like, how do I prioritize, right? So she's always got this part of her personality. She has it more so than other people. I think we all do this, but so then she's just like, okay, here I am trying to consider like how to navigate this. Like, so what we're hoping to do for like Denise is give her tools to kind of sit there and go, how do I choose the highest priority, right? So it's like, that's what the high vibration is for me. It's like, what's the thing that will move you in the direction of your joy, of your, like, what serves you best, of what feels best, of what are the things that, what are you going to, like, what can you prioritize, what can you let go of, what can you change, what can you, right? Like, it's just like, it's a constant moving target. Like, it's a constant, I don't think you ever get it and you're done, right? So how are we like being with this work, being in the world so that we're not like, life sucks, right? Like it's so heavy. It's like there's too much. And it's like, so how, like, that's what I'm trying to like, that to me, that's what it's like, if it's too much, then something has to change, right? Like that's to me like how I look at it. So if I'm not happy, something has to change. If I'm overwhelmed, something has to change, right? So like how do we, does this make sense at all what I'm saying? Okay.
Makes a
Okay.
lot of sense to me right now.
It makes a ton of sense to me. I'm like, yep.
Yeah. So it's like, so because it's like, it's the, so high to me, and again, so I have yet to obtain like enlightenment. I'm working on that one. So, so I can't get you there because I don't know how to get there. But it's like, but I feel like there's things that I do that I mean, it's like we're always in this like this constant pull. It's sort of like what I said, like we're in a world of contrast, right? So it's like if we're in this constant pull, then can we stand in the middle and make a choice about which way we're going? To me, that's what this is all about. Like it's just like where is if you're in the low vibration, then all you see is like, well, shit, I can't, I'm stuck. I'm stuck, I'm stuck, I'm stuck. I've got two choices and I'm stuck. And but if you can be in a higher vibration where you're just like, oh, wait a minute, I'm gonna bring my awareness, I'm gonna bring my observer, I'm gonna kind of like, I'm gonna focus on this gorgeous flower that's on my table and sit there and go, wow, that's amazing. And now I'm gonna look at that choice. And I'm gonna say, so which one serves me right now? It's like we're always in this like, I'm a hyper responsible mom, and yet I really want to go out and play by myself, right? Like, so where am I right now in this continuum of like choices? Is it important to do all the super hyper responsible things right now? Maybe it is, right? Like Denise, this is where you're always just like, oh my God, I've got so much to do, and but possibly we can take time and change that, right? So anyway, and do something different. I just wanted to say that because I was like, because both Denise and Chris kind of mentioned something about like the frustration of trying to do this. And so I wanted to bring that in here. So before Dave has to like get in the car. So let's do just a real quick grounding. Now that I got your head full of new things. So go ahead and take a breath. And bring your attention down to your bottom on the chair, to your feet on the floor. And really just sort of see if you can kind of quickly and easily, like as if like a waterfall is coming down on you and just cleansing you of all the worries, cleansing you of the anxiety, cleansing you of the going in different directions, cleansing you of the grief, cleansing you at just sort of the heavier stuff that feels bothersome. Can you like just let that fall to the floor? And take a couple breaths, and with each breath sort of allow that cleansing to happen. Just sweep it. It's like almost like with your mind, sweep it away, like it falls to the floor and then sweep it away. Sweep away the worries, sweep away the to-do list. You can always bring the to-do list back. You don't need it right at this moment. So just feeling that connection to the earth, feeling that the weight of your body. For me, when I start to do this, it's just bringing my attention to the weight of my body sitting down on this chair drops the thoughts from my head down so that they're not as loud. And then bring your attention to the top of your head and open up the top of your head, the portal to the universe. And just imagine fairy dust, sparkles, fireworks, although that sounds painful, so maybe not fireworks, but just the sunlight coming down into your head, warming you up, filling you up, connecting with the universe that's much, much wiser than we are, high vibrational universe. And bring it down our body, down our torso, down our arms, down to our pelvis, and connecting it to the first chakra. And see if you notice a natural change in your posture as you do this. And now as you're here, I want you to put your hand just below your belly button. And I want you to just ask the question, what am I feeling right at this moment? And then ask your question, what does my body need right now? And then ask the question, what do I want today? And if you jump up into your head trying to think about it, bring your attention back down to your hand on your abdomen. And then take another deep breath. And then come back, open your eyes. That's so fabulous. I love that. Right when we were doing that, my daughter texted and said her biology grade just went up. So that's awesome. That's a high vibe.
Did we do that?
Exactly. You never know. And why not believe that, right? That's what I say. You can argue at your scientific brain that it doesn't work, but why? It's more fun on some level, right? Like to just sit there and go, yeah, maybe that like good vibe just went out and rippled out and, and connected with Darby's bio teacher. And she went, oh my God, I have to give her an A. Anyway, so Dave, since you're going to be jumping in your car soon, can you start? Do you have to go right now?
I kind of have to go right now, and I'd really just rather listen. I've been talking to friends and my therapist and my wife, and I'm kind of talked out about everything that's going on.
Okay. Can you just tell me, like, did you get answers when I just had you put your hand on your abdomen?
I did. And it was a release of the sort of the knotted gristle, icky kind of sadness, depression, and that released into an airy lightness, happiness, or at least contentedness.
So asking that question about how you feel did that? Or the meditation did that?
The meditation.
Okay. So did you get information when you put your hand on your abdomen and just asked how you were feeling?
I did. That's when I got in touch with the darker,
Okay.
gristly part.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. I will give you a hall pass to I think I channeled Jenny's school stuff here when you're here.
Sorry.
Oh my God, I can't believe you were a principal of a school. That just seems like that would have been.
That I was? Oh, I loved it. It was my favorite. It was awesome.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So anyone want to go first? Want to talk?
I wanted to tell Dave before he leaves, just it's an inspiration to me every time I hear you talk about meditating, Dave, because I've wanted to meditate for a very long time. I've bought CDs to help me meditate, and I will be damned if and even Monday morning, you know, your commitment when, you know, Seattle's, at least in my area, pretty much shut down with the weather, and you're at the gym
Oh yeah.
early enough to get, I mean, truly your level of commitment. And Becky and I, you know, when we were talking the other day, we were talking about not noticing things that each of us, and Becky and I were talking about ourselves. We weren't talking about anybody in the class. We were each talking about, you know, Becky says to me, you know, how, you know, you stop and look at how far you've come. And I look at where Becky was when I met her and what she's doing now. And every time you mention that you know, meditate and like I said, even your commitment going to the gym, and you're just, and obviously you're going through some tough stuff right now, and your commitment to do this work is, I mean, it's inspirational to me, because I've been used to taking care of everybody else, and to stop and take care of myself has been my biggest challenge.
Yeah, I hear that. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Yeah. All right. And on that note, I gotta get cracking.
Okay. Well, you'll listen, right, for the next half an hour?
For sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to check out of here and get on the phone real quick.
Okay.
Bye, Dave.
Bye.
Denise, do you want to carry on?
I can.
Okay.
What part was?
So tell me what just came up for you when did you have a sense of when you asked those questions in your body? Could you feel it? Did you get an answer? How you're feeling? What does your body need? And what do you need today?
I was doing what is very common for me of, if something came up, it's like, okay, is this my feeling or is this my thought? I have such a difficult time separating feeling and thought. And if I think I feel something, did I feel something, or was it a thought? If that makes sense.
Whoa, what just happened?
I'm glad it happened on your end too, because
Yeah, me too. It's like,
Yes.
whoa.
Uh-huh.
Oh, Dave just flipped us. We're seeing Dave's screen. So he needs to, Dave, we're all seeing your screen.
You sit there.
There
That was funny. I muted him, so Hopefully he can unmute if he wants to. I'm sorry. Yeah. So you have a hard time like separating from like your thoughts from your feelings.
Right. And this is what I talked about on the phone the other day. And just for everyone else's reference, what I was telling Becky, I mean, it's just the way my brain works. I literally, it's connecting with the universe here, but getting out of my head. That in itself is a little bit of conflict for me, if that makes sense. Because they're both here.
Right.
I'm thinking when I'm doing the fairy dust, that's a thought that I'm having. Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, I almost sometimes I feel like I feel more in my heart chakra than I do in the second chakra where I'm supposed to be. I mean and I don't know if that's just from my life or.
Right. So that's and that's not bad, right? To feel in your heart. So women in general, and not that guys don't have this, but in general, we're caregivers. In general, we're like that we're the nurturer, right? So that's gonna be from our heart. The problem with asking how you're feeling in your heart is that that also becomes a difficult place to separate from you and other people, because you're going to be empathically feeling what other people are feeling, right? So start there, totally start there. Like, that's not a bad thing. That's better than your head. But the more that we can bring it down lower into your body, the clearer it will be just yours, right? So do you feel like you can feel down into your abdomen? Can you feel it?
It's challenging for me.
Okay.
That's been a challenge for me, because I have been always my whole life, checked my emotions and been like totally, in control. So to some level, and I haven't been robotic in terms of, I mean, me, I've had, a great joy with my family and certain circumstances, but when you do that, when you tell yourself that you always have to be in control, you have to, check yourself, whether it's because you're at work and have to behave a certain way or whatnot. I've done that personally with people and expected myself to be there for everybody else. So on some level, I haven't listened to and experienced my own feelings, and I really don't know. The furthest back that I can think that it was just about focusing on my feelings was college, when I wasn't married, I didn't have kids to take care of. So I mean, I feel like it's been a long time. And even before that, when I was a kid, I told myself, I had a role that I was supposed to fulfill. And so I did that role, but I feel like I'll put it this way. Think of it as a language, and you grow up in a home, and and whatever language you learn in that home, that's your native language. It is my native language to not be paying attention to my own feelings and to be thinking about everybody else's feelings. So I'm having to learn this foreign language later in life, when it's freaking harder to learn. I can stay high vibration, that part, but truly getting in touch with myself and my own feelings, that's harder for me. That's why the day that I came to see you, when I got off the freeway and I did I tell the story last week?
Yeah.
When I had my own feelings and it was true, like that's what was truly a moment of, okay, these are mine and only my feelings. This has nothing to do with anyone else.
So yay. So, I mean, so it's possible, right? Like sometimes I think you you think it's never going to happen, but it happened, right? So, so just, you're here now, and you know, and the more that you practice this, the more you'll feel it, right? Like it's just, you just have to, it's the practice, right? Like, and you know, you see me as like this expert with all of this stuff, and I have to do this every single day myself, right? So it's like, just keep at it, right? I know it's frustrating. I know it's this challenge, but I mean, it's better than just giving up and just saying, I'm never going to get here, right? This is just too hard.
Right.
Forget
Right.
about it.
Right.
Right.
It's just a harder, it's like, I feel like I'm like, if somebody's overweight, it's harder for them to, you know, if somebody's been overweight all their life, it's harder for them to change their whole eating, whatnot. So, and just, you know, this, like Dave just was talking about, I mean, it's work to, you know, I'm still going to see my counselor, and it's work to do this. This is hard work. The physical stuff to do, to, you know, to drive to our job, or, you know, do that, whatnot, that those simple tasks are simpler. This work is harder to do. I'm not sad about it. I don't want it to come across that way.
Right.
But this work that we're all trying to do, this is harder. We didn't learn how to do this in school. It's the intangible part of it. This is harder to do. And then we're trying to do it with all the variables of what's in each of our lives going on in our, you know, family relationships, our work relationships, the curveballs that get, you know, thrown in, whether it's the weather or, you know, I mean, even,
so if you, do you think it would help? I'm trying to think of ways of like helping you to get lower into your body.
Denise, I totally agree. I totally relate, Denise.
Thank you.
That's hard for me too.
If you think of like sort of dropping into your body as like walking into an elevator in your mind, and then going down from each floor until you get, like, sometimes when I like do, like, there's certain visualizations, and we can maybe try it later or on Monday or something, to kind of at least give you that experience of what's the second chakra is, so that you have that felt experience of going past the heart, past the diaphragm, right? The solar plexus, because like the solar plexus also tends to be this kind of bottlenecking area for people. It tends to be that division between the lower body and the upper body. Like a lot of people are kind of disconnected from those two, from there. So it's harder to kind of get past that. And like, if you've got anxiety, right? Like it's like the chest or this diaphragm, right? So just to give you that experience, just so that you know, because I think for me, it's like really celebrating the moments when you get it, so that when you get frustrated, you're just like, yeah, but I did it once, right? I know I've been there, right? As opposed to, because otherwise it's that like, ugh. And when you get into that lower ugh feeling, it takes more of an effort to kind of come into that, like, yeah, but I got it, right? Like, so, and I know I can do it, and I know that it's attainable, and I know, right? Like, and so that it gives you that impetus to kind of keep going, and that it's like getting the star from the teacher, right? Like those rewards are significant. They're significant for us. They make us feel good, right? And it's not that life is all about like getting the prize and, you know, being, you know, the best at everything, but like, if we can't even like feel it, if we personally can't like give ourselves kudos for what we've achieved in life, nobody, you know, then that's a level of not being able to receive, right? Like you can't receive it from somebody else, right? So it's just like I totally hear your frustration. I totally get like why this is like how hard it is. And I don't know how to shift that for you. Right. Like I so wish I could raise my magic wand and just change it for you. Right. But it's also like, that's why I keep saying, like, do you see how much you've changed over the years? Do you see that you are actually doing things that you're like, when I first met you, you were like, I need to start doing stuff for myself. Cause it was, you had younger kids then. Right. So you're doing stuff for yourself. You're taking these classes now and you love it. Right. And so it's like, keep feeling that, like, what is it that feels so, what does feeling good, what is that for you? Because there's a level of like, you're always going to have that pull, right? Like what I was talking about earlier, you're always going to have that pull between like being that hyper responsible to-do list and I want to do something for myself that on some level does it feel frivolous for you to do it for yourself? Is that the conflict for you?
I don't consciously think that because I clearly value it. I've been spending the money and taking the time in the last couple of years to do the classes and to do that. But this is, maybe other people could help me out in this regard, because in my family, it was always about the doing. My parents are very hard workers. It was about the doing. And I didn't feel, as far as like school goes, the message was always do your best. And I don't think of myself as a perfectionist, but I've been acutely aware in the last 10 years that there is not enough time in a day to do my best on everything that I'm working on. And my counselor has brought that up to me a lot of, why does it have to be done, even if I'm not thinking of something being done perfectly, but the right way? And that's an area that I have to let go of, because I think it's probably the struggle for me of being the stay-home mom is this idea of that I have time to do the things that I'm trying to do. And as opposed to, I think I take things on and think I can do things that I don't have time to do because I'm not factoring in all the things that I am doing. And this is the part where you talk about not giving myself credit for doing things. And then I think it goes back to what you said a few minutes ago about receiving. And, I told you about when I went and saw Marie, and she said that Marie's an energy worker for Chris knows who Maria is, and Jenny, I don't know if you do, but she literally said, you suck at receiving. And that was kind of like, wow. Those were her words. She said, you suck at receiving. If you can work on this particular area, this will be a huge, impact for you. And so I clearly need to work on, and that's one of my what if statements that I use, but I think I need to be doing it more, because it obviously is clearly that's a challenge area for me.
Hold on, I'm getting something. So here's a what if statement. What if I easily discern between my feelings and my thoughts?
I'm writing it down.
So I just saw Marie yesterday, and she gave that to me. Because I'm working on this too. Like it's just this, it's our thoughts are our feelings are our thoughts, right? Like, so, but our feelings, like when you're in your emotional body, it's not the story. It is just I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling frustrated. I'm hungry. I'm happy, right? Everything's good, right? Like, but the story is then our brain kind of putting meaning to it, right? So, so that's the, so I'm still working on this myself. Okay. So, and this is like me kind of playing with this. So it's like, if you could just start to, you're always going to be very practical. I'm trying to remember where your moon is in your chart, but you're very practical with your emotions, right? You're just practical. That's the way you are, right? So this is what I was saying, like, we're always going to have this foundation of who we are, but can you be above that and have awareness of just like, okay, so I'm being very practical right now, right? Like, it's just, and I'm analyzing, and that's just who I am. So is it serving me right now? Is this good for me right now? Is there, right? Like, it's kind of asking that kind of question. Is this what I need to be doing? Is this in my best interest? Does this bring me joy, right? Like, and, do it like it. So it's that, right? So we're not changing your practicality. We're not changing your caregiver aspect. We're not changing that, right? Like, but you're clearly asking for something, a fulfillment that is lacking. Is that accurate? Like, do you feel like you're not fulfilled? Or are you just wanting, what is it that you're looking for, do you think?
For me, it's personal growth. I mean, all my life, if I'm learning, I feel like I'm growing. If I'm just doing the day-to-day worldly stuff, if you will, I think it's I guess I want to say the spiritual growth part of it. When I feel like I'm growing and learning personally, I'm more inclined to feel content than I am when I'm not focusing on this stuff. Because even if things might not be great, when I know that I'm working on this stuff, I feel good about that, and it sustains me through through the other stuff that's going on.
Does it, like, do you notice how it so it brings you to the present moment? Is that what it's doing for you? Would you describe it that way?
I think it keeps me in a place of, I think it's that observer role. I think it's backing up to knowing that everything's okay, and to not get caught up in the frustration that I didn't get done on my to-do list, or frustration of the interruptions that took place during the day that I didn't plan for, or somebody else's stuff. If you know what I mean? And not getting distracted. Even like this week, I've had the news on more than I normally would because of watching the weather. Alex is traveling, and I'm trying to keep him apprised of what they keep changing and saying what's taking place on Friday when he's flying back in. And I don't usually have the news on every day. The story that Dave was talking about when I first, logged on, I have to be careful about how much I have the news on, and the sadness that's on there, and the constant, somebody was shot here, and this police officer, was shot when he served the warrant, and the girl at the UW, and that's heaviness. I have to be on my game to not let that stuff make me be sad.
So what happens when you feel sad? Where do you feel it in your body? Do you get like
I don't know.
Okay. Like, I want you to even just sort of pay attention to what that feels like for you, even when you're sad, right? Like, when you hear that news, cause I'll like, if I if I listen to the news when I'm driving to work, whoops, did Denise go?
Oh, where'd she go?
Ah,
I think maybe she dropped off. Maybe she'll dial
She
back in.
did.
Okay. Everybody's froze though. You're moving, Chris, but Jenny, you're not moving.
I'm not moving.
No, you're very,
I can see myself moving.
huh. Anyway,
Yeah, that's odd.
so anyway, so when I might have to repeat this, but when I drive to work, no, it didn't change, Jenny.
Oh, now it won't.
Anyway, when I'm driving to work and I'm listening to the news, I immediately start to feel like I notice that my vibration changes. Like that's how it feels to me. Like I feel I can be nice and calm, and then all of a sudden I start doing this like like everything flutters in my body, right? And I'm just like, okay, this is not good. This is not high. This is more of an anxiety feeling to me, right? So I have like I notice different like it feels uncomfortable in my body. And so I'm just like, okay, this is not good for me because I'm about to go into work and I need to be on my game when I go to work. So then I'm just like, turn off the news and take some breaths, right? And just calm myself down and bring myself and so this is how I use the paying attention to my body. Okay, this is distressing. Jenny's still not moving.
I'm not moving.
But Chris is. I don't get that. Anyway. Oh,
Jenny
here she's
can,
back.
yeah,
Oh,
Denise is back.
There she is.
Jenny, turn your video off and on again, maybe.
Okay.
Yay. Denise, what happened?
Sorry, Denise.
I'm paying attention and I'm sad that I didn't make sure my laptop was charged up before we started.
Oh, no.
I know that was so weird. You just went away.
I did. I was focused on the class, obviously, not looking at where my charge level was.
Hey, and Jenny's back now, too.
There you go.
Am I back?
You're back.
You're not, you're still frozen, but that's okay. Can you guys see her moving?
No.
She wasn't moving when I...
Okay. Anyway, Denise, so I'll just repeat the story real quick. So what I was saying when you disappeared. So when I'm driving to work and I listen to the news, I can, so I'm in a little bit of my to-do mode, right? Okay, I've got my lunch, I'm going to work, right? Like who's my first appointment, right? But that's okay, like because I have to get there. And so, but then when I have the news on, then I will listen to something, and all of a sudden, so I'm kind of in this like, okay, this is what I need to do. I might be a little rushed because I might be running late, but that's to me, that's not a bad place to be necessarily. I wish I wasn't as stressed, but that's okay. And then, but then when I hear the news, my energy, I actually feel like, to me, it's my vibration. To me, it's this, like, I get this stressed, fluttering feeling that is agitating. It's agitated. It's uncomfortable. It's like, it's worry. It's right. Like it's got a lot of different names to it. And I'm just like, okay, this is not useful for me to go into work. So I'll turn the news off. Right. I'm just like, oh, Becky, your vibration's changing. Now you're freaked out. Now the world's coming to an end. Now Armageddon is happening, right? Because it's just like, that's what the news feels like sometimes, right? And so turn off the news, and then I take a breath. Then I do toning, which is a whole nother thing. I'll sing, I'll put on music that makes me happy. I'll, do any of the sort of vibrational changes. I'll ground myself even in the car, and I'll just sit there and go, okay, universe, I don't know what the heck is happening, but I really hope you've got some plan in place, right? Because I can't personally change it right at that moment. So this is just what I do to kind of be like, I got to move on with my day, and I have to be on and functioning for my clients, right? So that's part of the, like, so just, that's why I start out this, like, just notice, because a lot of times we don't even notice when our energy is changing. So just noticing, right, like, is the first step. And so you're just like, oh my God, I've been listening to the news. So now hopefully today, if you listen to the news, then like, and you're going, now I'm being affected by it, what can I do, right? So that you have it, you're it's noticing and then responding to it.
And that I get why, and maybe this is up in my head, why do I feel like it's kind of, here I am in this position of trying to get in touch with my feelings, and yet when I'm hearing, you know, this stuff, whether it's negative stuff, you know, on the news, I'm to some extent, you know, obviously we want to stay in high vibe. That's the point of this whole class. We're still in a programming, right? We're trying to program ourselves to do this. Mm-hmm. So on one hand, to me, that's part of, and maybe this is part of, you know, living in this world of contrast that we live in, of trying to I'm trying to get in touch with my feelings. I'm kind of trying to deprogram myself to get in touch with my feelings at the same time that I'm reprogramming myself. And I think I tend to be more in a high vibe. That part hasn't been the issue for me. It's reprogram myself to get in touch with my own feelings. But I feel conflicted, for example, when I see the stuff on the news that's sad, I feel conflicted about not being sad about that when it's something that we should be sad about. Does that make sense? That I recognize that obviously limiting the news is one way to do that, but I feel, I mean, some of these things, like to stay in high vibe, there's all these things going on around us, and we need to, I'll give you one example. In one of Marie's classes, she talked about suicide. And, you know, Jenny, you working in education, I'm sure you've had a lot of stuff come up with this, with the age of, you know, the students and conversation about this. And Marie talked about, you know, sometimes that's just how a soul chooses to leave the earth at that point. So I want to process that, you know, that thought, and stay, you know, kind of stay on. I'm trying to explain. If you really stay in high vibe all the time, you never let any of the stuff bring you down, if you will. But there's times that it's appropriate to feel the sadness.
Definitely.
So
I'm not saying that you don't ever have emotions. I'm not saying that there's not place for grief. I mean, your father dies, you're sad, right? Like, and you're supposed to be sad, and you're supposed to grieve. And like, if you don't grieve, then that's going to like bottle up, right? So having emotion that's not the problem.
Can I, Becky, I just feel like I have to say something to Denise, and
please.
So sorry for interrupting,
no,
but
please,
Denise, for some reason, it's like, you're so afraid of something because when I'm listening, and it's like, Marie said that you suck at receiving.
yes.
I was listening to Becky saying that she kind of feels that way, and I feel that way. And I think that, and sorry, Chris, it's not I think it's a women thing, that we're so used to taking care of everybody else that we're not sure how to take care of ourselves. And if you really did, it's hard to, we're so used to looking outwards and taking care of everyone, and we're so programmed to do that, and then we don't look at ourselves, and then you're like, wait, I don't know who I am and how I tick and what I think and what I feel, and oh shit. So, okay, I'm afraid of that because I don't know if I'm going to like who I am. So I'm just going to keep looking back out that way and just keep doing that. And I'll go through the processes and I'll pretend and try and be a better person and all that kind of stuff. But really deep down, maybe I'm really, really afraid of being like, oh shit, I've been doing this for 50 years and I don't really like who I am. Right. And so there's just something about, I think a question that you might want to ask is, what are you afraid of? And I'm just, my guides are just saying, just tell her. So I'm telling you.
No,
Yeah, Chris.
No, I appreciate it, Jenny. Go ahead, Chris.
Can I weigh in too? I'm sorry.
No.
I just had a very small thing, and it helps me because Becky has such a wonderful connection to her feelings, and I'm a guy. Actually, that's not fair. Dave seems just so amazing, but I'm not as in touch with mine, and sometimes have a hard time really figuring out how I'm feeling. So I identify with that, with you on that. And sometimes I use this trick where I just guess. I just sit there and think, well, maybe I'm sad. No, that's not it. Maybe I'm grieving. No, I'm not grieving. Maybe I'm happy. No, I'm not happy. And I just go through all of the emotions. I've even gone to the point where I've looked up a list of emotions and just gone through one at a time and go, well, let's try that one on for size. No, that's not quite right. Oh, wait, this one's close. I'm feeling a little lethargic. Oh, that's weird. Okay. How about this one over here too? So maybe what you could do is sort of fake it till you make it. Just sort of say, you know what? I'm just going to call this feeling, serenity, or I'm going to call this feeling, whatever. Just pick one and sort of try it on for size a little bit until you get better at listening to your body, listening to how you're feeling, and that helps me sometimes. Not all the time, but that's all I had.
No, I love it.
I like that.
No, I appreciate it, and to some.
Is that your dog?
Yes, and Russell, it's okay. Russell, come here, buddy.
Hey, buddy.
Okay.
We want to see him.
Where is he?
He's
Oh.
looking out the window.
Hi, bud.
He hears outside.
Hello, puppy.
They got to
is
see
that?
him earlier, I think. Hey, Russell, look. Russell, come here.
Hey, buddy.
There's a squirrel, man. Oh, a car.
He heard a neighbor. I mean, it's just so quiet here. He hears, do you know what I mean? And it's quiet usually. And then with the snow on the ground, it's extra quiet. And he just hears it was the neighbor getting in their car across the street. Chris, when you were talking, I almost, I have all the empathy part in taking care of everybody else, Jenny, that you were talking about. And Chris, I have part of me, I feel more, I'm a total empath, but I have a lot of kind of more masculine, I guess, qualities in terms of not being emotional. And I feel, I have felt joy in my life, which I'm grateful for. I've been told, some people have never felt extreme joy, so they don't even know what they're trying to feel. And I have felt extreme joy in my life, so I'm grateful for that. But I think in terms of, I've managed to stay in the high vibe. Isn't that I'm so positive. I typically can stay in the higher vibe. I'm trying to stay in high vibe and get in touch with my feelings and know what I'm feeling. So it's in it. feels a bit like the rubbing the stomach and patting the head at the same time.
I love that.
Really, to do that, because I want to do both. I want to keep my positive attitude. I want to stay in the high vibe, but I want to be more in touch with my own feelings, and that which I haven't. That's where I haven't been. And I think, Becky, I was curious, while this conversation's been going on, if you have ever heard if there's kind of different processes for people to go through this depending on what their personality type is. Because I'm clearly very analytical. I want to analyze all of this, and to get in your own feelings, you got to shut that analytical part off. I mean, I feel like I have to, because it's that my brain churning. It's the Untethered Soul, Becky. That's for Jenny and Chris. That's a book that we read in the class that Becky had. It's that it's stopping that chatter in the head, so we can get in touch with our feelings, and
Right.
that's the challenge, and that's always been a big challenge for me. And it's why every time Dave talks about it, not just meditating, but the length of time he meditates, and twice a day, I'm like, bow down.
Well, but there's also, and there too, what you're saying, there is definitely different styles, right? Like there's personalities that sitting meditation is almost impossible, right? But there is such a thing as walking meditation and movement meditation, and that's what Qigong is all about, right? Like that's like the whole point of yoga is to exhaust your body so that you can rest, right? And have that moment of quiet. And so it's so let me think about like different, as far as this work specifically, as far as if there's like different kind of tools. But I love what Chris said about like having the list, because I remember once there was a class I was taking, and there was a therapist in the class, and we were talking about emotions. And the next time she came in, she gave this like list of like, I think it was just different words for anger. And because and it was like 50 different words, right? Because there's degrees of anger, there's frustration, there's, right, so because they say the liver holds anger, right? And if you just sit there and go, oh, are you feeling angry? And someone's like, no. Well, but are you feeling frustrated? Well, yeah, I am frustrated. It's a similar energy, right? Like, and so let me see if I can like find that list and kind of add that, give that as a tool, because maybe that would be helpful to just kind of help identify, because right now it sounds like it's like, you've got like the 10 main emotions that you're thinking about, and maybe you need 100 different emotions in order to satisfy the nuances of it for you, right? And maybe that will help you to kind of go, I love that list idea, because you're a list maker anyway, right? And so then that will just kind of, so that's a tool for you that might be really helpful.
So can I ask another question?
Yeah.
Is it possible to feel a really sad emotion, or grieve, and still keep your vibration high, or are those mutually exclusive?
So they're not. And so expressing emotion is so and this is I think like let me see if I can say this well. Like having a temper tantrum and getting the emotion out of your body is a high vibration. It's not lowering your vibration to be upset. The thing that lowers your vibration is when it stays forever and ever and ever and ever, and festers and boils and toils and really oh my gosh. Okay. Good Lord, you all went away. That was weird.
We can see you.
Thank
Look
you.
at you.
Like
Chris, thank
all of a sudden, like the whole screen changed to something different. It's not Mercury retrograde yet, so.
Chris, thank you for asking that question because I'd forgotten. This has come up for me twice that in different formats, but that question's been answered, that were aha moments for me. So I appreciate you asking that, because I'd been conflicted, one, on speaking my truth, and Becky, can you hear us? Because you're frozen on my screen.
Oh,
Okay.
Oh, there you go.
I
That
can hear
helped.
you.
One of them was on speaking my truth, because if speaking my truth is going to make someone else sad, then that's a conflict for me. I don't want to make someone else sad, but if I don't speak my truth, then I'm not that. And I think I'm mixing up being positive with staying in high vibration. So I appreciate you asking that question, because I'll go back and look at my notes, but that was one of my aha moments, that speaking my truth is in high vibration.
Yes.
For you, right? And it's for you. So and you know, you're not going to say it to be mean and hurtful, right? Like that's not speaking. I mean, that's a lower vibration, right? But to say it from the standpoint of, I'm really upset right now, right? You know, I mean, I had like this, I was even just talking to my son about, like, when I call insurance companies and I'm, you know, and like, I'm so frustrated with this one situation with this insurance company, and I'm just like, you know, and I get a different person every time. And I said to my son, what I do, because he had a issue with his braces, and he thought I was going to go in yelling. And he's like, Mom, you didn't yell. And I'm like, Colin, listen, this is like how I deal with stuff like this. I said, I tell somebody I'm not happy. I'm really frustrated right now. And I need you to know that, because this is where I'm coming from in this conversation, right? So I'm stating the feeling right now, right? I'm sorry if this is going to come across hard. I'm not attacking you. I'm just really, really frustrated, and I need help, right? And so this is like how I always start with these insurance people, because if I'm just sitting there going, what the hell, man? You guys suck. Right? If I start with that, they're gonna go woo, and they're gonna be defensive, and they're not gonna be helpful. But if I'm just like, I'm stating where I'm feeling right now, and I'm at my wit's end, right? And I know this is not your fault, but I need your help, right? And so then I get this immediately. Of course I'm gonna help you, but I'm stating my fact. They're probably not comfortable, right? Like with my words, but I'm not putting it on them.
Right.
I'm owning where I'm at. And I think so.
And from their point of view, it's so gratifying to be able to help somebody when they are that frustrated. So you're putting them in a position that they could get all this gratification. Oh my God, this woman called and she was just pulling her hair out, and I solved it.
And then at the conversation at the end, I'm always just like, I really, really appreciate your time. And they're always just like, oh, of course, right? You know, but I like, you know, because that job is so thankless, right? So that's like a level of speaking your truth. And so like when you come and you're just like, I know this might be really hard to hear, and it might make you really sad, but this is what's happening for me right now. And I need to be true to myself. And so like, if you're speaking your truth from that place, that's a super high vibration, even if you're upset, even if you're right. And so like, so Chris, to your question, like, it's like having an emotion and being in that emotion right at that moment. So I'm the one I'm struggling with right now, and I know it's going to hit at some point really soon for both of us, is when our parents pass away, right? And there's going to be grief. Right. And so I don't know, that's a whole other thing that I'm not exactly sure how to speak on right now. Right. Because being in grief is important, and the grieving process is important. And I remember once when I was going through my divorce, and I will forever be thankful for this counselor for saying that, I was just like, months and months of sadness and on the floor crying and just like, oh my God, this is so painful. And I said to her, I was just like, how can you, I don't like this anymore. And she's like, Becky, I can't take that away for you. You need to grieve. It's important for you to feel that emotion. And I just was like, oh, because I kept wanting to change it. I kept wanting to get out of it. I kept wanting, because it was so uncomfortable, but it's like I had to go through the process of the grieving of that marriage. And so that's not, I'm trying to think of like, when does it flip to a low vibration? And I'm not exactly sure, right? Like grief is grief, right? Like that's you need that. That's
right. But to your point though, what we're talking about in this class of getting in touch with our own feelings, to me, benefits all these areas. And to what you just said, when your parents, when it's time for your parents to go, the more in touch you are with your feelings. And I'm thinking that will be easier to grieve, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And do you know what I'm saying? I mean, I literally, when my dad died, because I'm so always stay in check and take care of things and whatnot, that really, Becky, that day that I came there, that was a huge for me to start crying that day, because I missed my dad. Because I have literally asked my counselor if she thinks that I've done all the grieving, because it's always been about, I've been so grateful for the things that my dad did, that he enjoyed his life. I've been so grateful for that I haven't had as much sadness as what most people would think that I have about. And I miss my dad terribly. My dad was the most optimistic person that I've ever met in my life. But I'm on the reverse of that, of saying, okay, have I grieved all this because of not feeling my own feelings, if that makes sense. And can we stop on me now? Because I'm looking at the time and I want Jenny and Chris to talk.
And I'm going to be right back. So Chris, you go. I'm going to be right back.
Okay.
Speaking my truth, I have to use the ladies' room.
We honor that.
Good job, Jenny. I haven't done the Enneagram yet, but I'm sure I've got some cheerleader in me.
I don't think that's one of the categories.
Well, Dave said it, is why I thought that it was, but I'll do that. Chris, have you done it yet?
I haven't, no, but I hope there's a boat builder category.
I love it. Maybe we can each do that this weekend and see if that has anything to do with what we're working on here.
I'd like that. It's been on my list of things to do.
I'm gonna bump it up on mine. It's not even. It's in this list. It's not even on my paper list, and my paper list is a full 8.5 by 11 page.
Oh,
space, so.
It didn't take that long. So Chris, go ahead. So what's how you doing?
yeah. So my when I did the little meditation and tried to touch my abdomen and feel what I was feeling, I felt that fluster that I just had for the morning right initially, at least when the meditation started. But then when you had me put my hand on my abdomen, I realized that was a superficial feeling that was sort of on the outside, and that it was pretty shallow, and that deeper down, I was feeling fairly calm and satisfied was at least one of the feelings that came to mind. A little sadness. I'm still I can literally feel a little thing in the back of my head that feels like I'm holding this anxiety for my dad being sick. But I forgot to tell you that I actually talked to him yesterday, and he sounded really good. So I had a really nice talk with him. But it's still there. He's still got this lung condition, and it's pretty serious. But overall, yeah, it was weird to see that I was sort of flustered, and I could feel that, and I couldn't really get past that until I was really focused lower down in my body, I think I really do sort of stop, particularly at the chest. I feel sort of a heart thing too. Was it Jenny that said she feels, or no, Denise, you were saying just when you go to sort of feel how your body is feeling, it's hard to get down past your heart somehow. And I think I hold a lot of energy there.
Well, part
but
of that,
but touching my abdomen helped.
well, that's perfect. And part of the reason why we stop at the heart is because there was always that messaging of follow your heart, right?
Sure.
And so we culturally have ingrained that that's where the information is coming from. But as I said, it's harder to, when you, and everybody in this group has empathic abilities, that, you know, that we're feeling other people, we're going to feel it in our heart. And so that's why I'm saying it's harder just to, I mean, I already said this, but I'm just saying it again. That's why kind of going lower in your body is helpful. So I love
It is.
that you felt that difference.
Yeah, I could totally feel that too. And I've actually felt, you know, just a pain in my chest at times in my life when I'm sad or grieving or you know, heartbroken. And it's amazing that's where it centers for me. But feeling lower down helped. And that's interesting because this week when I was trying to do the whole sort of feel my intuition when making decisions, trying to get in touch with my sort of intuition and my body reaction to things, I would notice one thing, and that was that if I was put into a stressful situation or dealt with somebody who I was picking up some weird things from, my reaction is to disassociate from the earth. And I'm feeling it in my feet. So I notice that when I'm really on and really functioning really well and feeling good about myself and really on the path, I'm feeling literally the ground beneath the soles of my feet. And when I'm called out in a meeting or had, you know, a criticism for something, or somebody who's just flaming that day and just is smearing me, the first thing I react with is a floatiness, and I lose that connection through my feet. So it's not even just like my abdomen or my lower chakras. It's literally a connection through my feet somehow that I feel my intuition from. So when I'm doing my sort of test, yes no tests, more and more I'm going to, can I feel that all the way down through my feet or not? If it's a connection right through my feet, then I know it's solid, and I know it's maybe a yes, or, you know, at least that's how I'm feeling, you know, my intuition. If I'm unsure about something, or if it's probably not a good decision for me, I lose that connection. It's almost a switch from feeling sort of that earth connection. So that was my big find this week, was
that's
was
huge.
with that.
Yeah. So for you, the yes is the grounding in your body.
Yeah. No, it's so subtle. I wish it were just something I wish it were a light that came on my cell phone, you know, a little green light or a little red light or something, but it's not. It's this really subtle feeling, and I have to sit there and calm myself and really feel for it and say, is that, yeah, I guess I'm feeling, you know, a little more solid or a little less solid, but it's not it's not just a yes no button, but it's better than nothing. So I'm going to call it a success.
No, I actually think that's huge. And it is subtle. And which is why it's so easy to ignore, and why it's so, and the brain is not subtle, right? So the brain is always going to be alarmist. It's always going to be worry. It's always going to be fear. It's always going to be like, are you sure but what about, and oh my God, you're going to die, right? Like that's the brain. That's never intuition. So it is subtle. And I love that you at least have like something to kind of begin with, to just keep working with it, because I think that's going to be a huge, like, so as I said, I sometimes actually get like this weird feeling on my face, and I was just like, what is that feeling like when and I realized that I'm actually getting intuitive information when and it's like this weird pressure, and I'm like, I have no idea what it is, but it's an indicator now for me to pay attention, that whatever's in my head right now is significant. And it's just been this thing that I've discovered over the past couple of years, right? And so, but yet, like when I, again, so I have the most practice with this in my office. If I'm working with somebody and I ask a question, and it's a yes, I literally feel this like a softening that happens, like, as if I'm pushing into the air. And it's just, and I get this like, oh yes, it's true. Or if it's not true, I get this resistance. Like I feel it in my body. That's how it feels to me. So this is my system, right? And so that's why it's like, it's super subtle, but it's like, but when I'm paying attention to it, it's very obvious, because it happens over and over and over and over again. But I had to kind of figure out what that was. And so for you, that grounding is perfect, right? When you feel grounded, then that's a yes in your body. I think that's huge.
Yeah, no, it was something, and I have the same problem as Denise with the news, and I know intellectually that the news is designed to be extreme, either horrible catastrophe or great joy, or it's manic. It's completely manic, and that's because that's what sells newspapers or sells subscriptions. So it's I have to keep telling myself that over and over again, that this is the not only is it global in scale, so that oddly enough, people from New Hampshire and Florida are grieving the poor girl who slipped and died at UW. And I'm sitting there going, is that appropriate? I mean, why? I need to be more community focused. I need to be, looking at what's happening in Ballard and what's happening in Seattle and in my world and my friends and my neighbors, and also still aware of world events. I don't want to pull up the drawbridge, but I do need to limit how much energy I give to that roller coaster of fire hose internet news. And I just I know I don't, so I'm self-limiting. I'm trying to not listen to NPR every time I get in the car. And I haven't gotten a handle on how to deal with it. I want to be well informed, but I almost want to go back to the days when I used to subscribe to Newsweek and get my news once a week, and instead of every day. And yeah, I'll be less informed. I won't know, of some poor catastrophe that happens in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, but I'll be more balanced day to day and able to, respond to, what's going on locally. I just feel like we're all enjoining this whole citizens of the earth thing. It's almost more than I can handle. And the problem is, of course, is that they're giving us just the absolute highs and the absolute lows, mostly the absolute lows. And it's hard to remember that. When I was young, we were told that to be informed, it was a responsibility. It was a responsibility to vote. It was a responsibility to be a contributing citizen, and to be well informed. And I feel now it's less about being informed and more about being entertained. And I don't want that entertainment. I don't want to know, that some governor in Virginia wore blackface 30 years ago. I know that there's still rampant racism in America, and I'm going to try and fight against it. But that on a daily basis is not doing me any good.
Well, and so maybe, and I'm wondering if it's like an individual's process of how much news that they can handle, right? Like maybe it's different for each one of us as opposed to.
Absolutely. And I am totally the not, sensitive. I'm
Well, yeah.
freakishly sensitive and easily swayed. So my emotion just goes, all over the place when I'm listening to the news. It's a little bit frustrating.
Well, and I find that for myself, like there's times when I can listen to it and it's not as big of a deal. And there's other times when it really just, I'm feeling too sensitive. And so I'm kind of, so there's a day-to-day process of it for me as far as how much I can handle. Sometimes I use the news as a tool for me to help see. So like I sit there and play with it now, and I sit there and go, okay, I'm going to turn on the news and see if I can if I can listen with neutrality. It
becomes a test.
It's a game for me. And then I'm just can I listen to it neutrally? And then if I get triggered, how quickly can I bring myself back into a space of not being reactive? But I for years didn't listen to it because it was just too much. And now it's like this. Yeah, now it's like a whole nother level of I'm going to try this because I'm so triggered by it. I want to kind of watch myself and watch what happens. But I
can't let myself not watch it because I do feel it's a responsibility to be informed. But I think I am going to put in my calendar a reminder to watch the Week in Review. And that will give me the permission to not listen to the news every 10 minutes. It's I think that will go a ways for me, I think.
Perfect. Or getting the Sunday paper or something. You talked about that at one point.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. We could subscribe to a newspaper again. Seems very old-fashioned.
Chris, can I just mention something that my counselor had said to me? And my counselor used to be a firefighter, and my counselor said there's not, because what you're talking about, we're bombarded with all this news, and just my counselor saying there's not more. Can you still hear me, Chris? Can you hear me?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, no, perfect. There's not more domestic violence today than there was 15 years ago. There's not more heroin addiction than there was 15 years ago. All of these things that she was exposed to as a firefighter, there is not more of that today. It was going on back then. We're just hearing more, and I am not talking about fake news when I say this, but I think that there's a deception in our media today that is implying to us that all these that there's more of all this bad stuff, that there's more racists, that there are more, and there's not.
Absolutely.
There's
absolutely
not.
No. As a matter of fact, violent crimes are going down, and they have been for 30 years.
Right. And all of the negative stuff that is going on in the news that they're reporting it on, the positive side of that is that it's bringing more awareness to situations that ultimately I think the awareness of any bad situation is the first step in doing something about it. So in that respect, I get maybe we need to kind of recalibrate our thinking about what we're hearing and exposed to, and look at it from that perspective. Because I very much have we've had a lot of conversation with my kids about the stuff that's come out of the white supremacists and all of these things. And I've talked to my kids about this. I hadn't thought about it till right now, but saying, isn't there some positive in this coming out? Because somebody like me sitting in Washington State who doesn't feel racist, who thinks everybody's equal, who thinks all these things, when I'm not aware of of what's going on elsewhere in the country, I think I can get a different, not think it's not out there, but not be as aware of that it's out there. So I guess I have to recalibrate in terms of see the positive side of what is, what's being shown, out there, and maybe, does that make sense?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Totally.
absolutely.
So, can we move on to Jenny? Chris, are you?
Yes, so sorry.
No, it's okay. I just wanted to make time.
No,
for
just don't watch the news.
Yeah, no, but I have to be informed somehow.
I know, but but where? What can you rely on?
I don't know. It's hard to say.
It's
I do try to read both sides of the news. I read a little Fox News, God forbid, and CNN and BBC, and as many different sources as I can, because I'm trying to think of that Trump person as my president.
No.
It's not easy to do.
Chris, I don't know if this helps at all, but sometimes I like to just tune into Lester Holt's World News Report, or on Channel 5, or David Muir's on Channel 4. I don't know what the equivalent is on CBS, because that's a half an hour and it touches on the highlights of what's going on in our country. And it's not the Channel 4 or Channel 5 that keeps repeating the same, I mean, I don't know how many I had the news on last night watching for weather, and I don't know how many times they told the same story about the girl at the UW. You know what I mean? So we hear if you leave the news on for any length of time, you hear a local news, you're going to hear the same negative stories where somebody was shot, the same tragedies over and over and over, as opposed to a half an hour. Just flip it on for a half an hour of the news, and quite frankly, I could look up on my computer and get updated weather reports.
Right.
So
I want to give time for Jenny.
Let's see. Yeah. Becky, what did you say? Brain is not subtle, it's alarmist, and what else? I didn't get the other two.
Your brain is always going to be fear-based,
alarmist.
It's dramatic. Your brain's always going to go to the dramatic and the worst case scenario.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah, worst case scenario.
And your intuition will be always calm, and still, like, it could still say, no, don't do that, right? Like, that's not.
1 second. Okay, I'm done at 10:30. Okay, thanks. Sorry.
That's okay. Your brain can still say, but so your body, though, your intuition can still say, no, that's not right for you. But it's not going to be like, oh my God, don't do that. No, right? Like it will just be like, it will just be like, what is your emotion? I'm feeling sad right now. And the story is the brain. So it's a subtler, it's clear, and not attached to the outcome, your intuition and your what's right for your body. So
Okay.
anyways, so you said that you didn't even remember what the homework was. So do you have any sort of experience with the
well, my friend a long time ago had introduced me to Becky, and then another girl at the same time who is more of a she speaks to your guides and stuff like that. I don't know if I've told you about her, Becky. Her name is Reese. And so for Chris and Denise, I've been through a lot of trauma the last probably year and a half, maybe 2 years. And she had a thing where if you want to kind of release and I can't remember what she called it, basically cutting the cord. I'm kind of at that point where I just want to cut the cord with all the grief that I have and just get it out of my body. And so I was going to do something with her online last week, and she's like, no, you need to come in. I can see your aura. You need to come in. You can't be on the video. So I saw her on Sunday, and she did all these singing, the singing bowls, and what are those things that I can't even think. The
tuning forks.
Tuning forks. Yeah. So she did that. For an hour and a half. And I came
Wow.
and I felt sick when I was done. I felt lightheaded, sick, you name it. And I went home and I literally slept. She's like, I want you to wrap yourself in a cocoon and do nothing. And I said, oh, I'm going to go home and watch the football game. And I'm just going to lay around on my couch. And then we get a snow day. And it was so subtle, but it literally, I laid in bed for kind of on and off for 2 days. And I feel fantastic. I feel so much better. It's so incredible what she did. And we talked about, it's interesting that we were talking about the solar plexus, because she's like, you're really blocked at your solar plexus, but do you feel it? And I said, no, not at all, because my heart chakra is so blocking solar plexus that I wouldn't even have known how to get into them. And so she's kind of cleared that up a little bit. I still have the grief, and I still am kind of dealing with some of that, and that's going to take a while, but I'm just in a different place. So my body had to, and then I went to yoga twice this weekend. So between the treatment and the 2 yogas, I just feel way better, just so better.
Yeah.
So then I couldn't remember what homework was on Monday, which is so funny. But I'm starting to be able to tap into stuff a lot more quickly, just to think about it. And I can kind of ground and think about where I'm at. So it's just kind of just checking in with that more. I always feel it in my arm. And so it's that's movements coming up my arm now. It's starting to transfer a little bit.
And so do you have a pretty strong sense of like what yes and no is in your body? Like, so that's.
No, and I forgot to do that. And
maybe your arm has something to do with it.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
My arm does, absolutely. But that's where my guides kind of come in. That's where my grandmother, when she died, that's where her energy went out of her body through mine and then left. And so that's kind of where that portal kind of came from. But no, but I'll ask them to come around, and then I can feel them, but I'm not tuned into them enough to know right from wrong yet, or yes and no. I'm not there yet.
Your guides, you mean?
Yeah.
You can them? Yeah, so see if you can like start with simple kind of things with
I need to do this. See, now they're buzzing in my arm. They're like, hi guys. It's my grandma.
This is a spirit guide, Jen?
I have there's 3 or 4 of them. Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, I'm so jealous. That's cool.
It's the coolest thing. I told you guys at the very beginning when so my grandma died when I was, I don't know, 33 or so. I loved her to death. Just my favorite human on the planet. And I didn't understand death. I'd never been with somebody when they died, and I was afraid. I was scared. And I was with her when she died, and I didn't know that she had died, but this zip of energy went through and shot out my arm, and I gasped. And I looked at my boyfriend at the time, and I was like, what was that? And he goes, I don't know. And I looked at my dad, and I go, Dad, what was that? And he goes, she's gone. And I was like, oh my God. And I had kept saying to her, I know you're going to die. Just give me a sign. Tell me that this is going to be okay. Just give me something. But at the time I knew that it had happened, but I don't think I was old enough and wise enough to get it, what she had given me. So over the years, I've kind of honed it. And I've seen a couple people that are like, oh yeah, that's your grandma. And then there's this other person, and then there's this other person. And one of them is the Archangel Gabriel. And so he's there, and she's there, and my animals are there. Mm-hmm. It's kind of cool. It's weird. I know I sound crazy.
Yeah, you do.
But I know
in a good way.
But she's the one that gave that gift to me, and so I'm just now, as I'm getting older, getting to figure out what that means and how it works. But because she left through my elbow, I feel it all kind of in here, but it's starting to move. and it's getting stronger. And so things are starting to happen that I have to pay attention to because I don't know why, but I haven't been able, I could ask them to come, but I can't get a yes or no quite yet out of them, but I'm working on it. And when I do, I'm going to let you know. You'll hear me screaming from the rooftops. Yay!
Or flying from the rooftops.
Exactly.
So try simple things to begin with, right? Like things that just don't have a whole lot of emotional impact, like, what should I have for dinner? Should I have this or should I have that kind of thing? Or what would be like another, just simple questions, right? Like even what to wear sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I know this is one thing, and I have no idea why this is so significant to me, but every night, because I wear a mouth guard, I either use Scope or Act. and I'm like, both of them are like total chemicals, right? Like it's not like one is more natural than the other, but it's very bizarre. Like every time I reach for one, I get this really strong, like, yes or no feeling. Like, and it's weird because I'm like, why of all places is that like so significant, right? But I get this, like, it started because I would almost like feel like anxious. And I'm like, why am I feeling anxious about reaching for the Scope? And so then I like would go for the Act and it would go away. And I'm like, that's weird. So I guess I'm supposed to use the Act tonight, right? Like but really it's like, I don't care which one I use, right? But I get this really significant body response to it. And I'm just like, okay, right? Mouthwash.
But why do you have two to begin with, Becky? That's the question.
That's the question.
Right? Why do you have two to begin with?
Well, I don't know.
I think you have two solely for this purpose. Being able
to prove Jenny's guide's right? That's why.
Well, so that's the thing, right? But like, it's such.
That's my wife.
It's such this, like, it's so insignificant. They're both doing kind of the same thing, right? And and every now and then I'm like, should I not be using anything? And I'm always get this like, no, you're supposed to be using this, right? Like, and so try something simple like that, right? Like,
okay. I have to remember, because
Oh,
what if her guides laugh at her?
Oh, they wouldn't do that to me.
Exactly.
Okay, good.
Now, guides don't usually, they're usually just completely loving, and they might have that like, oh, isn't she sweet, when we're laughing at ourselves, but they're not going to laugh at us. They just don't.
Not gonna laugh.
I need one of those.
Yeah, so I just have to be kind of more mindful. Work is just so crazy and insanity right now that it's just calm down, and even ground is important for me. And but it's funny because my secretary and the other secretary are always like, you had your class today, didn't you? I'm like, yeah. They're like, you're so mellow. It's fun because we're walking, like I'm talking to them about it too, and it's pretty chaotic, and there's such a low vibration across the board.
Yeah.
And the three of us are like, how do we stay above it? How do we continue to get the work done? And kind of what's the game plan? So we actually went out last night, and I said, one day at a time, right? Just one day at a time. And we just have to rise above and not let it bring us down, because it's everywhere.
Yeah. And it's hard to practice in that environment, right? Because you're swimming upstream on that, right? You're going against the current with all that's around you. So but there still might be places where you can sit there and use this, like if you have to make a decision about something today, like really kind of like, okay, I've got these two choices, and try to whittle it down to two choices, and then take a breath, kind of feel your body on the chair, and then say which one on some level is the lesser of two evils, right? Like it could be just like, which one's the better one for me? Which one is in my highest best? Which one which one should I move towards first, right? And Denise, you could do this even with your to-do list, right? Like which one is like the one that I should be working on first, and just kind of like, if you can touch it, and you know, if you have it in two places and you can say, okay, I'm going to touch. Oh, this was another thing that I read about, like if you imagine yourself as a ball of energy and move it towards each one. And so your ball of energy, like which one lights up and gets fuller and brighter. Like that might be like a way of, because that's sort of taking it outside of your body if you feel like you don't trust your body at this point. But maybe that exercise would be like, okay, should I not, I mean, I don't know, should I schedule this meeting first, or should I schedule this meeting first? Should I talk to this person first, or should I talk to this person first, right? Like, or should I talk to this person at all? Yes, right. Like, and so imagine this ball of energy kind of moving towards it, and does it in your mind light up, right? Like it's all imagination, or does it come dimmer? And you can set that guideline, like this is how I'm going to know if it's yes or if it's no. Like maybe this is an easier way to start, right? As opposed to what is yes and no. Define it. Like when this ball of energy lights up, that's yes. When this ball of energy becomes dimmer, it means no. Does that seem like that would be a helpful way of doing this?
I can try that. I can try to see if it works. Jenny, when you were talking about, you know, the stuff around you, I'm just thinking about us, all of us doing this class, and just, I mean, we are being part of the change to change this dynamic of, you know, on the earth of where we are right now, of living in a higher vibration, and just you know, just doing what we're doing. And you Jenny, taking the time to go see Reese and go to the yoga classes. And I mean, this is just, it's like Dave doing his meditation. I mean, I mean, this is the stuff that makes me feel good about, you know, that I'm moving in the right direction. And seeing, you know, when I listen to each of you talk each week, and I said this at the very beginning, just seeing the, you know, the other people that signed up for this class and said, okay, I'm going to take the time to do this. And that enabled me to say, to acknowledge that I was doing something good.
Good. Awesome.
That's great. I have to show you this, Becky, really quick, because when you were talking to me, the guides were like, God, they were just, I had to put the pen in my left hand. And they I wrote, not that you can, I'm going to translate it for you, right? Because
what's it say?
They said, keep at it. Keep moving forward. You're doing the right thing. Be patient. I'm not kidding you. They're just like,
fantastic.
So that's Grandma saying, I can hear her too. I can hear her talking to me. Jennifer?
I love it, Jenny.
That was weird because it was just like literally I was trying to take notes about the ball of energy and then I just had to move it. That was crazy.
Thanks for sharing.
Nice.
That's like you just channeled it, right? And so maybe now, like as things are clearing, because basically you've just had so much noise and static in your life that it was impossible for you to, you know, see the forest through the trees, or whatever that expression is, right? So it's just like now that things are kind of clearing for you, like hopefully you'll get some more kind of concrete guidance about what's right, what's best for you. And you've kind of said that this next 6 months for you is kind of a critical, just kind of work on yourself time. And
oh yeah, that'll be important. So
yeah, awesome. Yay, you guys. I am so psyched. I'm so psyched. I mean, like just like the littlest bit of progress is huge to me. I mean, because it's like a step towards just kind of finding your truth, right? And just being clear about what that is for you.
Yay.
I'm so proud of you. Yay!
We're all moving forward.
Well, awesome. I don't know here. Whoops. God, sometimes computers do things. Yeah. Okay. We're a minute We're right on time.
Perfect.
So I'll see you guys Monday. So keep working on the, like, just what is that, checking in with your body. Checking in with your body.
Yeah. Awesome.
Great.
Thanks,
Do
you
you have,
guys.
do you have a meeting now, Jen? I can tell you're like already like out the door.
Me? No, I'm just looking at, no, I'm just looking at this bullying thing that I just got. And I'm like, no, because I don't want to change my vibration. I want to stay up here. I don't want to deal with all this.
Okay.
You can
All right,
do
bye.
both, Jenny.
Huh?
You can do both.
Yeah, I working on that. No, but isn't that working on
know.
that? I mean, that's huge.
Yeah.
That's big.
Yep. I'm going to go in with a smile.
You're
Stay with
making
it,
a
everyone.
difference every day in your
Bye,
job.
guys.
Bye. Have a good weekend.
Bye.
Bye.